Morning, guys. It's October 29th. We're headed to the mountains again this morning. It's a juvenile hunt in Tennessee, so we're not hunting today, but it's a beautiful day. Hopefully the juveniles definitely get them a big deer. So if you guys are hunting and you're watching this video, I hope you got you a big deer today. But we're headed to a big chunk of public land. We're going to check it out. I've got a camera that I'm going to go recover that's been out since July 5th, July 4th, something like that. So hopefully it's still there. A bear hasn't ate it, and we'll see if we can't find it. But today's video, we're going to be breaking down, and I'm going to try to find this deer, find where he's bedding, how he uses the terrain, and see exactly where he's at. He may not be in exactly where I think he is. So this was kind of a scout mission last year, and we're going to continue that this year. But we're going to break down the terrain features, what I look for in order to find these deer, and see how they use that terrain and how you hunt them and where you hunt them, because that's important. You know, if you bust your deer going in, then you might as well forget, especially killing these big mature deer in the mountains. So Appalachian Mountains is about 40 degrees right now. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful up here in the mountains. The leaves are changing colors. Deer should be starting to chase a little bit, checking scrapes. It's that time of year, so we'll see what kind of rut activity we see, and stay tuned. We're going to break down, see if we can't find this deer, then maybe here in the late season get an arrow in him. All right, so we're walking in. One of probably the biggest mistakes you can make when you're going into a new place or you're going to go look at something is not knowing what your wind's doing when you go in. So if you go in with a bad wind, you're screwing yourself. You're already telling the deer that you're there. So like today, for example, I'm headed, I guess it would be south, and I've got an east wind because my thermals are actually coming up the ridge. And you can see over to my right is the eastern face, or the eastern side of that ridge, and it's heating up because that's what the sun's hitting. So the wind's pushing up. You see we've got a little bit of wind. I don't know if you can hear it on the camera, but there's a little bit of wind, but that's the thermals rising. And as the day winds kick in, should be predominantly at this time of year, we're going to have a west to a north wind. It really depends. Every once in a while you get a warm front come through, you'll have a south wind. But knowing that, and knowing today it's supposed to warm up to about 70 degrees. So I'm assuming that as the day goes on, the winds should start switching from the east to the southeast. All right, so I'm traveling south, so the wind should be in my face about all morning. So going in here to get this camera and going in here to scout this, the deer are not going to smell me unless I bypass them. So I should be able to ease up on them, take my time, and scout this. Now, if I get down here and I start finding really good signs, I start finding beds, and I start finding what I believe to be is that deer, I'll back out and won't go any farther. That way that deer doesn't know that I've been in the area. So, but we're going to walk down through here. We've got about I'd say probably 300, 400, 500 yard hike down to get to where I think the deer's borderline where he runs, where it starts. So we're going to ease down here and check it out. All right, as you can see, it's pretty windy up here, but we're getting ready to drop in down on this bowl. And a lot of times, I always hear people say bucks bed on the leeward side of the ridge. But case in point right here, I'm on top of the ridge now. You've got an east wind that's coming across, and it's consistent. It's blowing in my scent way out over the top of these deer. But if I drop off over on this side right here, and I go 100 yards down, that wind's going to roll back up, and it's going to blow right back up the ridge. So a lot of times the deer won't bed right there because the wind will be in their face and they can see, and an animal can come over, or a predator can come over the top on them. So I wanted to point that out, and it's one of those things. We're getting ready to hit this bowl. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a big bowl right down through here that we're getting ready to go into. Well, I should start seeing some buck signs. I'm hoping to anyway. Because I can tell you this much, it is chilly up here, and it gets cold, and I haven't seen much for buck sign yet, or deer sign in general. It looks like the majority of the acorns up here on top are gone. Maybe just a few red oaks left. But I know what I'm getting ready to drop off into had a lot of big red oaks and white oaks. So good news is you know, we've got a good wind, we got good cover. I should be able to see off in these hollers because the leaves are off the trees already, which is great. And do some scanning and see if I can pick this buck up in his bed. But anyway, we're getting ready to drop off. We'll see what we find. All right, so about as soon as I dropped into this bowl, and I'm starting to come out the top of this ridge, where I know this deer's down off in here, down off the face. So they get in here, I come straight over. It looks like the deer, when you're looking at this, you can see there's dirt here. He was going out this long pointed ridge, so we're going to ease out through here, and I can see a horn tree right there that he snapped off, twisted off. So we're going to ease out through here and see about where this deer is going. And I feel pretty consistent that was probably this morning or last night. So this deer's, there's bedding fingers all out through here, and there's a good chance that buck's probably on one of these little bedding fingers. And with this good wind that I've got, I should be able to ease right over to the top of them and look down in these bottoms and see if I see him. But we'll ease up through here. We'll take a look at this. Well, I didn't come much farther than that last one, but there's a really good trail that comes right through here. And it turns, it goes right up through here and cuts up the ridge, and that's where that horn tree was up here. So you got two trails, you got another one that goes right down through here. And looks like it's well used. I'm actually finding some feeding sign. You can see right here, there's some red oak acorns in here, and you can see the browse off of the top of that. So, but we're getting to the top of the bedding point. So hopefully, and there should be, just right up here, should be a bed. We'll see, it may be a doe, but you see there's some old buck sign in here too, but nothing substantial yet. So we're going to keep pushing in here. You can see how this is wore out in here from feeding sign. So this is a good area right here. It's just right on the top, the point of this ridge, which makes it challenging to get into because the deer are going to see you coming in. But we're going to keep pushing, see what we find. All right, guys, so I want to talk a little bit about rubs and what I look for in rubs. Right beside of me here is a small rub that's probably done a couple weeks ago. And you can see it's not real tore up. And one of the things that I look for is gouges. Not from necessarily brow tines, you see that on bigger trees, but on these small trees, what I'm looking for is deep cuts, which means that the bases on the deer, what they typically use to horn, is mature, it's developed. It's got a lot of bumps and grooves in it, and it can cut deeper in these trees. But you can see, like with this one, the deer's probably not very aggressive yet because he just barely hit that one. And we'll go to the back side. Look at it, you can see it's just slit. There's not a lot to it. So it tells me that more than likely that deer is not fully mature yet. And really how high up they get, and if they're breaking branches. Same thing with this one. You can see where it's dug in, it's cut a little bit more, but I don't see grooving in the bark. So leads me to believe, you know, it's probably a pretty little 8-point or something like that, but does he have to horn big trees? Absolutely not. And I don't believe big deer horn big trees. I think that's a myth. But there are some good indications. You know, if that deer would have got up here into these branches and broke some branches off or bent this over, it would tell me that either A, he's really rutted up, or he's just a big mature deer. So it's kind of one of the things that I look for in rubs. And you know, in this little area here, it's not tore down with rubs at all, and there's not a lot of buck sign. There's nothing here yet that would lead me to believe that my big deer's in here. So we're going to keep moving, keep grading around. A lot of the beds that were in here this summer haven't been used, but you can see right here, you had deer print there, acorns, kind of a little bit of sign, but nothing that we want to hunt yet. All right, as you see behind me, there's a pretty good rub right here, and I'll show you a little bit why I think this is probably going to be a better deer. So you've got the main tree here that you can see that he's hit. He's cut some gouges in right here. You can see there's a gouge there. But if you look at the reach on this, yeah, is it possible that he could be on each side? Sure. But more than likely, he's thrashed this entire bush and all the way over to right here. So, you know, that's more than likely going to be a pretty decent deer, but it's old. I mean, it's probably was done at the first of the season when he was losing his velvet. But it tells me that there is a good deer in the area. This is not where I thought he would be, but we're going to take a better look around and see if I can find something a little bit better, something fresher, and go from there. All right, so this is a good example right here of a mature deer that I would look for. You can see big gouge marks. You can see that he's really cut deep into the wood right here. But now this, I know for a fact that this rub was actually done last year, so it doesn't look like he's been back in and hit it this year yet, or hit any of the other trees. We're going to check around a little bit and look and see if maybe he's just not horned these trees, but he's still in the area. But so far it's looking like he's not here. But that's kind of the sign that I'm looking for when it comes to. So I finally found a small bed, and it's probably a doe bed off this point. It's where I found some doe beds earlier this summer. You can see right here the leaves are falling and it's not matted down. But a lot of times I find beds close. Let's see, there's some deer hair there. Beds close to acorns, and you can look in this deer's bed, there's acorns all in it. So probably a doe bed. I'm not seeing any horn trees around it, and it's not. So this is probably an early season bed off of a doe, but kind of give you an idea of why this deer bed's here. I'm sitting in this deer's bed now. I'm gonna flip around, and you can see this deer can see this entire ridge system, bottom and holler, about all the way around him. And he's got a good thick backdrop, which is full of green, briar, etc. So nothing's gonna come up behind him or grading around, and he can see really well. So that's a lot of the reason why this deer's bedded here. Now right now we've got a south facing wind, or south blowing wind, which is coming directly from the camera direction right up the holler. And I really doubt if this deer was going to bed here, he would probably face up the ridge where he could watch. But like I said, I don't think he would find this deer here on a south wind. It's probably going to be a north or a west wind coming across where he can watch this entire bottom, and then the wind would come from this thick stuff right in here. So but more than likely probably going to be a doe bed. Did pull the camera, and when I pulled the camera, it only took pictures from till about July 29th, and then it crapped out on me. So I guess it ran out of batteries or something's wrong with it. But regardless, there was a nice little 8-point on it, which is indicative of the sign I'm seeing. That was the only thing I really seen, was in a small spike of some sort. So nothing mature, nothing that I'm really interested in. And the sign's telling me that too. So more than likely, I probably won't be back in here this year. We may come take a look at it next year. But my big mature deer that I know is in this area is probably going to be on down the ridge system, down next to more of the private land. So we're going to go check it out and go hike in there and see if we can find him there. What's up, guys? It's November 3rd. It's my birthday today. We're up here in the mountains looking for another deer. We killed our 8-point, stayed out of there so we don't booger up the 10-point before rifle season comes around. But anyway, so we're looking for, checking a different area that historically will have a deer or two in it. But I wanted to touch base a little bit on what the type of woods I look for. And you can, I'm gonna show you a little bit on, this looks down off in the holler, and you can see down through here that a lot of that is sycamore and poplar stands. And that's not going to be a decent food source for a deer. Doesn't provide any type of cover, and it's really open woods. So you're not going to find a deer in there unless he's cruising during the rut. But I came up here, and there's a couple oak trees around, but not many. And I'm going to check a couple of them. But one of the key things that I look for to eliminate an area is I come in here and you can see there's a little field right here on top of the ridge. There's nothing really in it besides some greenbrier that the deer would eat off of, but it's a great place for bucks to leave sign. And all I'm looking for is just a little bit of sign posted. It just lets me know that there's a buck in the area. Deer are social critters, and these are like kind of social hubs. In amongst thousands of acres of woods, a little field like this is going to be a social hub for a buck. So we're going to walk out through here, check it out. I'll show you a little bit of what I'm talking about. Hopefully we can find some buck sign over here. One thing I am looking at here is this. You can see where it looks like this has been broke off earlier in the year. And I don't know. It's either a bear or a deer. If it's a deer, he's a good one. But you can see this is a big branch. You can see it's broke all to pieces. And you see out here where this one's broke. Looks like you can see here, like it looks like claw marks. That may be a bear. Yeah, because it's got all the way. You can see this. I'm head high right here, so you've got, that's gonna be bear sign. Yeah, he's even above my head. So last year, right here in this little drainage that comes up, there was a pretty good horn tree. And we're thinking it was from the, split brow tine 10 point that was in here. But I'm seeing zero sign of any bucks in here. And really, at this point, there's no point in going any further if I'm not seeing where he's checking around these fields or checking around these logging roads. There should be some scrapes and stuff on these roads if the deer is active in this area. But I'm just not seeing it. So we're gonna ease out of here, go to the next spot. And like I said, if there's no food source, there's no deer.